Here we go.
All right.
Good morning, you guys.
Good morning, and welcome to Loresworn Live, the official Twitch channel of the Loresworn Order, which you can find at loresworn.com. My name is TJ Hafer,
And I am DM Schmeier.
and we also have Brianna with us in the background for like the next half hour monitoring chat.
Doing technical, important work things
Before I go to work.
before she goes to her
Oh,
day
and
job.
Chloe is also here as well.
The Order has united. We have assembled and
This-
are in one room.
This might be the first time we've all four been on one stream at the same time.
Excellent.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and tweet out that we're getting started, and then we will actually get started. Again, the music is going to kind of cut out because I can't figure out how to get it to continue playing in the background.
The client has some flaws here.
Yeah, but, okay, so, we are live. Total War, Warhammer.
So what are we going to
Exclamation
play?
points.
Well, we conducted a poll yesterday to let the community decide what they wanted us to play. Chaos won, but it turns out we can't play them yet. So
Yeah,
we'll be doing the Vamps because they got second place, and it was a tight race actually.
I was told that probably today my review build should update to a retail build, and that we would be able to play Chaos, but that might be later in the day, or that plans might have changed. So yeah, we can't play Chaos yet, but what's going on?
Already people talking shit.
Who's talking shit? I reviewed the game freelance for IGN, so if you go read the IGN review, I also reviewed Attila for them. I'm one of their freelance strategy writers, so that is why we got a review copy.
Don't be hating, buddy. Appreciate it.
We're not just a bunch of random people that get free video games, as is sometimes assumed. And now let's see. The game capture is off because I switched it to windowed mode. So let me fix that real quick.
Raptram is shouting you some praise. One of the better reviewers I've ever seen on IGN.
Thank you. Yeah,
props.
I do. I try to do my best. I got my start at PC Gamer. Actually, that's where a lot of people know me from. But I've been doing a lot of freelance for IGN lately since, if you're an old school PC Gamer fan, you'll know that Dan Stapleton, who is now the reviews editor at IGN, was at PC Gamer for a long time.
Dude is asking, before we start the game, can we show off some units in, like, free battle? Do we want to do something like that? Or I think you might get the chance as we play to see some...
We can show
what?
a couple. Yeah,
We can take a little bit.
I'll just first two units in chat that somebody suggests, I will do faction versus faction to show off those two units. So first come, first serve. We'll do a quick custom battle here. Just gonna wait because there's about a 30% delay on, or 30-second delay on Twitch. Just gonna take the first two that I see, any faction. Forsaken and Black Knights.
There you go,
so
guys.
we can't actually show Forsaken because they're part of the expanded Warriors of Chaos roster that you get for having the DLC, and yeah, it's still not registering that my game has the Chaos DLC installed. But I can show you some other Chaos units. So Black Knights. So we'll do vampire counts, the faction we're going to play, and yeah, let's do a couple of the regular ones and a couple of the shock variant. Just throw in a vampire lord. That's already too expensive for the small funds limit. And
looks like Ragnarok Spiders was the second one we can actually do.
We'll show off the spider because I kind of want Chaos to be a little bit of surprise for the campaign. I don't want to show too much of their stuff off too early. Where is my favorite multiplayer map? Is actually Hellfen. They did a diary thing on this.
That's a great name.
On the website, and this is just a really fun map. So I'm gonna go ahead and let's throw in a Vargulf because I like Vargulfs a lot. I'm gonna be playing with a lot of Vargulfs, and then we probably just need some standard frontline. Graveguard's too expensive.
There you go.
That's a decent army. And then we wanted to see the giant spider that these guys get.
Wouldn't it be down in Monster?
There it is.
There you go.
Arachnaroks. Let's give him a Goblin Great Shaman. Let's just do like a huge Goblin army. Do Goblin Big Boss, and we'll give him a bunch of Night Goblin Fanatics. Just for maximum ridiculousness, and maybe some archers too.
This is going to be a lopsided demonstration.
This is going to be a lopsided demonstration.
Do we know the lore of Warhammer?
I know a fair bit of it.
Some.
I'm not as versed in Warhammer Fantasy lore as I am in 40k lore, but I have played both of these games in on the tabletop in my gaming past, back when I had more time and less like
the good old days,
bills and shit, so I could just spend all my money on Warhammer figures and spend all my time painting Warhammer figures. Unfortunately, that era has somewhat left me behind. But
it concluded relatively decisively.
No, I had a Warriors of Chaos army in Warhammer Tabletop that I played for quite a while. They were the Grey Vargs, so they were a subset of the Varg tribe of the Norskins, and they were syncretic polytheists. So they had, like, they worshipped Khorne was one of their war gods, and he was like the let's go fuck shit up god, but they also worshipped like a version of Ulrich, so they weren't entirely evil. It was kind of my own little weird RP army thing that I did. DM and I are both heavily into like RP and lore and stuff, so you will definitely see that come through in our streams if you have not watched us before. Anyway, so you wanted to see the Black Knights for sure. I'm on very high settings, not ultra, just because in larger battles my frame rate is much more stable on very high, so this isn't the absolute highest detail, but it's like the next step down from that.
And it still looks fantastic, as you can see.
I know you guys appreciate, those of you that have watched our streams before, where is the freaking show unit card? There we go. When we slow down and kind of show you the stats and stuff, so we're going to try to continue to do that. So they're armored and shielded. So shielded in this game is basically a damage reduction against missile weapons in a frontal arc. I think it's a little bit different from how it worked in Attila, and then of course they have their anti-infantry bonus.
Pretty standard cavalry.
The shock version, where are they actually? Oh, they're right next to them. They don't have shields, but they are still armored. They still have the anti-infantry trait, and I think they have a higher charge bonus. They actually have much higher armor too. They have 110 versus 80 armor, and
makes sense given the variable.
Yeah, their charge bonus is like twice as high as the. So we're gonna.
What PC are we running it on? Custom built, actually.
Yeah, I actually built this a couple years ago for the PC Gamer hardware issue. I think it was the 2013 one. It's not super high-end, but it's a GTX 770, and I have a Core i7 4770K and 16 gigabytes of RAM. So it's pretty beefy, upper mid-range, lower high end, I guess, would be
something kind of funny.
Yeah.
We have two primary streaming computers here at our headquarters.
Yeah.
There's this one and there's the Beast. TJ and I were building them at around the same time, and just kind of informally talking about our machines as we did it. We certainly didn't compare notes, and we ended up building basically the same computer.
It was almost exactly the same specs.
Our case is different, that's it.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Yeah, which was especially funny because I built this one on a specific budget for the PC Gamer hardware issue. Like, I had a specific amount of money that I was supposed to be able to spend for it to be like an average person.
And I was working in a law office and was flying too close to the sun on my beautiful have money as an adult wings.
Alright, so I'm just going to hard group all of these guys and charge them forward, because I'm not so concerned about winning this battle. I just want to show off the units you guys wanted to see. Vargulfs are probably my favorite unit in the game.
Yeah,
I mean,
look
they're
at that thing.
They're so badass. They're like giant wolf bat monsters.
Even watching that move, it's like if that was coming toward me, I'd go the other way, you know?
Yeah, the way they balance monsters in this game is they actually have poor leadership if they're not accompanied by a general, so they can rout pretty fast because they're animals, you know, they get scared. But these guys have health regeneration, they're very fast, and they have armor-piercing damage, so they're just a lot of fun.
Promokia, yeah, you can pre-order it just about anywhere you want.
I think, yeah, it's been
Humble
live.
Bundle Store, Steam.
Steam pre-order's been live for a while, actually. There's my Vampire Lore. he has... which lore am I using here? I think this is the lore of vampires. It might be lore of death. But I have a hex that I can use that lowers melee attack and attack speed and ability recharge. Gaze of Nagash causes magical damage. It's good against single targets, so hero versus hero, which you'll see a lot of times hero versus hero can be pretty decisive in this game. If you kill the enemy hero before he kills you, I've won a lot of multiplayer games that way.
We call it the Warcraft 3 flavor.
Yeah, exactly. He has Invocation of Nehek, which resurrects some dead units. It's really good if you get like some skeletons tied up in a battle and like half of them have died, and you know they're that's a goblin spell. Yeah. So let's case in point. Did I lose a bunch of? No, I didn't lose that many.
It stung.
It might as well show you what it does anyway, which is basically refresh some of my casualties, so you can use that to hold a line longer or to kind of like win a specific engagement through attrition. I'm going to actually charge my Black Knights at the Arachnarok Spider, even though I don't think they're especially good versus large units. Let's just send everybody on some random attack orders here.
You're outnumbered anyway.
Turn the unit details off for now so we can see a little bit better. Yeah, these guys just have like a little team of goblins precariously perched on top of them. It actually says we're losing decisively, so these guys are probably not the best for that. Although it looks like my Vargulf has like completely routed all of the night goblins, so that's nice.
Look at that big bat just wreck shit.
They're not so fanatical when this guy, shows up and starts completely taking them apart. I'm actually winning on almost every part of this line here. Let's see, can I cast anything offensive and flashy? No, not really though. I'll enchant one of my Vargulfs with the Van Hell's Danse Macabre. And looks like we can go after some of these archers that are still poking away at us. Where'd my shock cavalry go? They really should not be doing prolonged engagements with a hero unit. Of course, we got our good old insert key. Charging uphill, not the best, but it's just merchants, so not that
well, you provoked them to move, which they really shouldn't have done.
Yeah,
so now you're gonna pour into their rear, and
yeah, even though they're in the trees, they're too exposed. They're not gonna really survive that. How are we doing over here? It looks like their hero is causing problems for us, but it's a goblin shaman, so in a one-on-one, I think my vampire can take him. Of course, now that we've routed their archers, we're now starting to lose down here, so let's do a nice downhill charge. Vargulf is still chasing those guys. I think they're pretty much out of the battle.
I love that it's basically a lone unit sort of loping around the battlefield, just going Kong on stuff.
Yeah, I think Greenskins are a very momentum-based army. When they're winning, their leadership is pretty good, but when they're not winning, they fall apart pretty quickly. In terms of army composition, theirs was much more balanced. I thought we were going to lose this fairly decisively, but I was proven wrong. It looks like their goblin shamans
you
about
brought
to
a lot.
go down.
You brought a lot more heavy hitters.
Yeah. My Black Knights are making short work of him, which is impressive against a hero unit of that caliber. Did these guys really rally? They did really rally. These guys should actually be fighting the spider. Even though they're not that strong, spear units are good against the... What else do we have to route? Just become an annoying cleanup at this point.
We enjoy playing games too.
Games are fun. That's like something I've noticed about them is they're a lot of fun.
We've chosen to play them a lot, in some cases partially for a living.
So I might be getting myself into a little bit of trouble here because when I did the review, I basically built Manfred von Karstein to be like an amazing single combat expert, but the default Vampire Lord I think is more magic focused, so I don't know how well he's going to do against this spider here.
One of the things I've just got to say is a fantasy nut.
Yeah.
Warhammer did vampires right.
They did.
They don't sparkle, they kick ass, and I really appreciate that.
When so many have done it wrong, it's good that... Because I'm very particular about vampires. Like, I think vampires should be a certain way, and when people do it any other way besides that, it gets on my nerves.
There's room for creativity, but
there is,
you got to take creativity down a certain direction in my book.
They need to be scary. They need to be monsters. If your vampires are just like brooding superheroes, the troops have uncovered hidden foes.
Literally zero negative traits attached to their condition.
Yeah. Like, it should suck to be it should be cool to be a vampire, but it should also suck to be a vampire.
See, I have affection for the original Dracula novel. I have affection for White Wolf.
Yeah, see, White Wolf to me, like Vampire the Masquerade, Vampire the Requiem, will always be the definitive, like, this is how vampires are supposed to be, sort of. So, those night goblins have been chased off once again.
How many years has it been since you read the original Dracula?
Oh, not that long, because I read it once in high school, and I've read it at least a couple times since then. So it couldn't have been that long.
I reread it just recently through a program.
Yeah, I haven't been using my...
I love the language. I love the description of action. It's delightful. I got in with my right and splayed the gentleman across the floor, which is, you know, Bram Stoker for I hit him with my right hand and knocked him out.
Yeah. So I'm gonna try to tag team their.
What about Twilight vampires? Exactly what we're bitching about. Like, if you missed that and aren't being facetious.
And like, I'm not even commenting on the plot, which I could if I wanted to, but just the fact.
But this isn't that kind of.
The fact that they don't have enough things that make being a vampire suck. Like, they can go out in the daytime, they can blend in at a normal high school. They don't have to drink human blood if they don't want to. Like, that's the kind of vampire I don't like. The ones that have lots of advantages and not enough disadvantages to balance it out. So.
Well, you said it ably before. They turned vampirism into a superpower, not a monster.
Yeah, it's like if vampires worked like they did in Twilight, why wouldn't everyone want to be a vampire? Like,
you would.
It has to suck to be a vampire. All right, so that was the Black Knights.
Pyrrhic victory.
Pyrrhic victory. 3 out of our 4 units of Black Knights got wiped out because I wasn't really microing them well, but our Vargulfs did very well. Kept the Vampire Lord alive and routed the Night Goblins. So we are going to start a new campaign now.
There you guys go. Got some units showing off.
Yeah, and we can take a break later to show off some other
let's
units
just
too.
pause for a minute or so on each screen so people can read what's going on.
Oh yeah.
Maybe rewind on the YouTube video that's going to come out later today and see what you want to see.
Yeah, if you haven't read all the descriptions and playstyles and stuff for each of the factions, I'll just click through these real quick, so you can pause the archive. And dwarfs are really not my favorite. I know that to keep them loyal to the tabletop, they had to give them no magic and no cavalry. But that combined with the fact that they don't really have the most interesting campaign mechanics. I mean, they have the Book of Grudges, which is like a dynamic quest generation system. And it looks like we got kicked out of chat. Cool.
And here we are.
So here's the vampire.
We'll spend a little
counts.
bit more time here because this is what we're going to be playing as.
So strong battle magic, including raising of new units from the dead. We have a lot of units that cause fear. Undead units never rout, they crumble. So instead of morale, we have a value that's like how intact the dark magic holding our troops together is, and the unit will start to suffer extra casualties if that value gets too low from losing an engagement. We get more casualties replenished at the end of a battle than on average.
And we have
no missile units,
which is a tactical consideration in a big way.
So we have to spread vampiric corruption across the map so that our units can safely pass, basically, and it can also cause vampiric rebellions to happen. And I'll go ahead and enable the leader introduction for those of you that have not seen it yet. I do play on normal. I know I'll get so much shit for that, but I'm not an expert Total War player. I just play for fun, so normal is a pretty good challenge. They've also made hard quite a bit harder in this game than it was in past Total War games. Unfortunately, they've also made normal a little bit easier, so it's almost like the niche I used to play in is sort of gone, because hard is pretty punishing.
There's a level of adaptation to Total War converting to sort of a fantasy setting at this point.
Are we missing a lot of questions? Because I want to make sure we answer as many of these as possible. The Empire is definitely the most vanilla historical Total War faction, although they do get really good wizards. So if you want to play a faction with lots of awesome wizardry, the Empire's a really good faction to play. But yeah, a lot of their basic units are units you would expect to find in other Total War games. Horsemen, pikemen, swordsmen, handgunners.
The old world, the rotting corpse within. Some fools think it worth saving. But there are beings who wish to bring about an eternal night.
Special units as Kemmler get. I can check on that, but I think he starts.
Such power.
I think he starts with a necromancer, and maybe some. I actually don't remember. Each of the legendary lords starts with like 3 higher tier units in their army that you can have right off the bat, even if you haven't unlocked them yet. So, yeah, Manfred gets a Vargulf and some Graveguard, I think.
Vampire
Game is a bit dark,
of the
hard to see.
Von Carstein bloodline.
It's a fairly dark cutscene.
My master.
If it looks like that, we're monitoring it on our end too, so if it stays that way once we get into the campaign, I'll go in and mess with the game.
He marches on the Von Carstein ancestral pile of Castle Dragonhof. For I have brought him ill news that a master necromancer has claimed the fortress as his own. Manfred must
So this is like the baby mode tutorial introduction battle. It's almost impossible to lose, but it's just there basically for people who have never played Total War before and need to know stuff like how do I move units.
You've got to think that this title is going to capture some new players.
Because there are people who wouldn't really be interested in the Total War historical games that will like this, and vice versa. I know quite a few people who, fairly enough, are not as interested in this game because it's not historical. Personally, we love fantasy and history.
I'm stunned it's taken this long for Total War to try something.
Yeah, it's really a great fit. I mean, if you read my review, I make the argument that Total War that Warhammer is really a better fit for this engine and for this style of battle than the
warriors will be greatly inspired by your presence.
So we got Manfred von Carstein here. He is one of my favorite heroes in the game, for sure. He gets lots of powerful magic, but I usually upgrade him to be like a badass frontline combatant as well, because...
Manson is asking, do we play with the typical Total War campaign big map and such, or do we split into scenarios?
We're going to be playing the regular, like, full-on campaign, yeah.
Big ol' map.
Yep.
Remember, as you fight, that help and advice is available at your request, my lord.
Bats are actually really good. They seem like a throwaway unit, but using them to tie up ranged units, since we don't have ranged units of our own, they almost act as like a missile screen, and they're really good. You can even land them on cavalry and then bring in some kind of a flanking unit like Crypt Horrors or the Undead Hounds, I forget what they're called, and it's really effective. Like using bats to tie down a unit, almost like Hammer and Anvil in classic Total War, except the anvil comes from the sky and the hammer comes from the ground. I actually really like the bats in this game.
And yes, this is we have a few units to control. It's a tutorial battle, though.
Yeah, we're doing the intro battle just so people who haven't seen the start of this campaign yet can see
They will
how
crumble
it works.
to dust if surrounded.
I don't think, yeah, Manfred's abilities aren't unlocked in this for this battle. But you can zoom in and see him kicking ass at least.
Dude's got a great long jump, man.
He does.
He missed his calling.
I think the Vargulf is going to go attack the gates. That's the other thing is certain high-tier like monster units can actually do damage to gates by themselves. So if you have like an ogre or a giant or something in your army, you don't necessarily have to bring siege equipment. Also, if you have flying units, you don't necessarily have to bring siege equipment.
There's a tactical adjustment that needs to be made. They've tweaked some things to allow for a fantasy setting.
Yeah.
This doesn't play exactly like the Total War games you remember. You can do some things a little differently.
The enemy begin to crumble. Press home your advantage. Grind them to dust.
So we're retaking our ancestral castle from some punk necromancer that decided he wants to live there instead. They sort of bend the lore a little bit to explain how every single faction only starts out with one city.
To take charge of the forces you control.
Like
effective command of your army is a skill worth mastering.
Now. So I'm just gonna once again hard group and just charge the city center probably. Follow Manfred into the city.
How can you stop a Vargulf from reaching the walls if its HP regen is so OP?
Focus fire usually works. Like focus fire with Empire handgunners can bring one down for sure. Also, as you upgrade your main settlement building, it will increase the strength of the defensive towers as well. So those can do quite a bit. To help defend cities. Cities are fairly defensible in this game. I mean, the siege AI is a little bit smarter, so it's not quite like Rome 2, where you could just like park 2 archers on the walls and you'd be fine. But oh yeah, now we have access to magic. So I'm gonna go ahead and use Gaze of Nagash. First, I need to actually get my troops to advance. Listening to me. Yeah, cities can be fairly defensible. The main considerations are flying units. I was playing a multiplayer game where I was playing as Bretonia, and I just brought like all Pegasus Knights, and I didn't have any siege equipment, and I just like landed them on the walls and routed everything. So flying units can definitely change the game a little bit. Alright, so now here comes some Vargeist. Case in point about flying units. I'm going to cast Gaze of Nagash on them. Which will, it's actually better at dealing single target damage, but there we go. That wiped out one Vargeist right off the bat there. These guys have pretty epic looking mohawks.
They do indeed.
Yeah. But, yeah, flying units tend to be fairly shock-oriented, so once they've actually landed and are in a pitched battle, they will start to lose, very similar to shock cavalry. You just let them hang out. So it's good to, like, swoop in, do some damage, take off again, and then come back in for another pass. That's really the best way to use most of the flyer units. I think we're pretty much, I mean, this battle is almost impossible to lose since it's a tutorial.
That's a good tutorial.
Yeah. My creepy monster guy is bigger and stronger than your creepy monster guys. Oh. There we go. I want to give him a group attack. attack order, so they'll actually spread out intelligently. Let's follow this guy into the heart of the city. There's a tent in the way. He don't care about no tent. You don't care about no fence.
The enemy general
just knocking that shit over.
He's got a pretty big stride, so
yeah.
we probably should have just gone over that.
Yeah,
it's
you know,
okay.
Knock
it down.
Yeah.
Knock it down.
I don't think we were really using that. I mean, do zombies really have any use for like a tent? Like, it's not like we need to stay out of the elements or whatever. That's yep. I don't know what he's kind of walking through our own troops right now. it could be
a poor man's studio.
Deemed a poor man's studio, yeah, for sure.
More like a homeless man's studio, but
yeah.
We're working on it. It improves every day.
So it looks like we pretty much cleaned as he is. Studio
we're working up to
more official, yeah.
We're working up to a studio.
Yeah.
I would say the office is studio-esque.
It is. It could be
a poor man's studio.
Deemed a poor man's studio, yeah, for sure.
More like a homeless man's studio, but
yeah.
We're working on it. It improves every day.
So it looks like we pretty much cleaned up the. Oh, there he is. Von Kruger, the Necromancer here. That's the guy we have to kill. Do I have enough magic to cast another? Yeah. You're fairly limited by Winds of Magic in how many spells you can cast per battle. Yeah, this should be a fairly. The buildings are actually making it hard for me to get the camera where I want it. Oh, here comes some Allied Cryptors. Another one of my favorite units. And yeah, we're just gonna do Zelig von Kruger.
Fake it till you make it is definitely a philosophy we embrace.
We got a White King down here who's allied to me. That's a very cool hero. They're like the melee hero for the vampires. And yeah, I think it's all over, but the
battle is won.
Yeah, there we go.
On Castine. The enemy servants of that.
Okay. So we got our castle back, which is nice. Got some prime real estate here in beautiful eastern Sylvania. It's back under our control.
Something tells me that has not had a positive effect on property values.
No, I don't think property values around here have ever been especially high, though.
I mean, if you're looking to speculate in some real estate, though, a vampire-ridden...
I mean, if you look at the demographics of, like, dead people versus living people, you know, there's a couple necromancers that are still technically alive, but for the most part, it's all skeletons and vampires and shit. Actually, I think in the lore of Warhammer, it is actually an inhabited area with actual humans living there, but it's not really modeled much in this game.